Yeah.
Dropping big facts, forbidden knowledge. Putting conscious on the map, forbidden knowledge. Always on the scene, forbidden knowledge. Took the pictures, those ain't memes, forbidden knowledge.
What you wanna learn? What you wanna learn? What you wanna learn? Tell me what you.
Hey everybody, it's Billy Carson, aka 4bidden Knowledge, another episode of Forbidden Knowledge with Billy Carson. I'm here with IRENA BYRIEL, and we are literally getting ready to go in deep today and talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about sci-fi. We're going to talk about taking trips to ancient megalithic sites around the world, and it's going to be an amazing talk. So welcome back, IRENA.
Hi, Billy. It's so good to talk to you. I've been waiting so long to do this again. You know, I'm always like, Billy, can we do a live? And it's really just because I miss talking to you, and I love talking about all of these topics with someone who has, you know, just so much experience and knowledge with this type of research.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Same here. It's like it's hard to find people to talk to that I can relate to on the same level, and we can have a really good interactive conversation about these topics. So I'm glad to have you back on here. And I will give you a little hint. We were doing some editing on the footage for the Black Knight satellite, and your clips came out phenomenal. So you will be in the
Yay! I'm so happy.
yeah, it's going to be great. This documentary is going to be absolutely phenomenal. For the people who don't know, it's a documentary about the Black Knight satellite. There's actually an anomaly in space directly above our planet, and it's been orbiting our planet, estimated a minimum of about 13,000 years. And we go into the deep history about that and why we came up with that number. And also, this object is tied to ancient civilizations here on Earth, and we're going to go into that as well in the documentary. And IRENA is in the documentary, as well as an astronomer, an astrophysicist, a former NASA image analyst, a former astronaut. We have scientists, we have theoretical physicists, we have researchers, we have experts on ancient tablets and scriptures, experts on cuneiform. I mean, this is going to be an amazing fact-filled documentary that's going to really enlighten a lot of people as to what this object is that's orbiting Earth and has been. And it became more popular in 1960 when it made Time magazine, and that article is still available online. So we're going to go in deep, and I'm so pleased that you were able to be a part of that documentary.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome. I remember we did that when I was visiting LA earlier this year for the Conscious Life Expo, where I saw your talk as well, which was there. I'm happy to be a part of it because, you know what, there's not very much on it. It's a very vague topic, and so I think it's really cool that you've decided to sort of focus in on it and go, let's talk about it, let's investigate this, let's maybe not have as many question marks.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. And throughout the entire documentary, I propose questions, and we try to reduce those question marks by bringing in specialists and experts to give their, you know, I guess, credible opinions on what's going on and what it may be, and debunking some of the debunking that's already happened, trying to unbunk some of the debunks, because so much fake information has flowed around on this thing for so long. And I think the world really needs to know exactly what it is. We even have Jimmy Church from iHeartRadio and Jimmy Church Radio, who was also on Hangar One, which was a series on, I think it was on Netflix. So he's also in a documentary as well. So this is going to be an amazing documentary. I'm still trying to get Richard Dolan. COVID-19 kind of really jammed up that interview. Hopefully I can get him in and squeeze him in right before we have to get this thing in the final editing. That would be phenomenal because, you know, as you know, Richard Dolan is a phenomenal.
He's amazing.
Oh, phenomenal. Oof. I've been in shows with him, and the guy is just incredible.
Factual, very factual, very credible research goes into, you know, his perspectives and what he talks about. So very respectable if you're someone who is a skeptic. I know that a lot of people might be skeptical, but one thing I do want to highlight is that it's an anomaly, which means there is something there. We're not making that part up. There is something to investigate. So what you think it is and all of that is your own opinion, but you cannot dismiss the fact that something is there. So that part is proven, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely right. The actual images are on the official government websites, and is now labeled under space junk, but it's there. So it's going to be amazing. I really can't wait for this thing. And right behind that one is another documentary that you're in, The Mystery of the Gosford Glyphs, which we filmed down when I came down to Australia, the land down under. My accent is bad. And we went for a walkabout out in the bush. Oh God, that was an amazing trip. And to go out there and find those, or not find, but get directed to those with guides, those Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs and those Pleiadian hieroglyphs, and to be out there. We were just talking about it off camera. How amazing it is that we actually live for those moments to be out there. We're not normally want to be in those kind of situations with fire and heat and rain and bugs and snakes. But when it comes down to mysteries, it's like, forget about all that stuff. Let's go,
Yeah, absolutely. I've told you, I live for that stuff. It's what makes doing all of this so exciting, because there's so much more to learn. And even though the journey within spiritually with, consciousness and that part of our evolution is intense and amazing in itself, things on this planet that we can see and touch and look at, we're in this particular dimension where we're able to do that in such an interesting way, where we still have so many question marks. So I can't wait till we go to so many other countries and sites and investigate a lot more, because I think when you put people together in a team that have a same genuine passion for something, and it's not competitive, against one another, and it's the intention is pure. It is really, it's just a genuine intention to find out certain things. I just think that those moments are amazing in this journey when you can team up with people like that, and I'm so grateful and appreciative, and that's why I'm always hassling you and chatting to you, and what I'll be doing for every week, every time a Star Trek episode comes out.
Right, exactly. And that leads us right in, because these hieroglyphs that we discovered or stumbled upon in the outback of Australia, around this area called Carryong 9 in Gosford, they have patina in the crevices, and that patina can be dated, and that dating goes back about 5,000 years. The glyphs themselves have already been verified by the Board of Antiquities of Cairo Museum in Egypt, so it is authentic Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs. Now, on the other part of this makeshift temple, there's another wall that's got glyphs that the elders are saying are Pleiadian glyphs, which have not been deciphered yet, although dating back just as far. And so when you bring up the Pleiades, it's one of the most amazing star systems that I talk about all the time, because I have a lot of replica artifacts and actual artifacts, and the majority of them display the Pleiades on the artifact. And what's so amazing about that is, when you go into a lot of the ancient texts, you find that there was an ancient galactic war in that region, and when that war happened, something was used called like a Brahma weapon that literally was able to destroy planets, a planet destroyer, or a Death Star, so to speak, like on Star Wars. Maybe that's where they got the story from. Planetary debris was crashing into other planets, creating havoc in that region of space, in that sector of the galaxy. And you had now space refugees fleeing and looking for other star systems to inhabit. It's an incredible story. And they went to Orion, they went to Aldebaran, they went to Zeta Reticuli, they went to Sirius, various star systems, and inhabited them. Some actually crash landed on a planet that orbits a brown dwarf star that was gravitationally captured by our solar system, and that planet was called Nibiru. And much later in the Enuma Elish, Amun-Ra renamed the planet to the name of his actual name, Marduk. which made it into the actual modern day Bible. That's how far that story tracks from the Enuma Elish all the way into the modern day Bible. But, so what's amazing is, the reason why I bring this up is because when we look at this series that we like to watch called Star Trek, it's the Star Trek Discovery series. It's a brand new series. It's been out for about 3 years, maybe, I believe. And they really they had a spare no expense budget, and they really do a phenomenal job, in my opinion, with the technology, with the physics and the quantum physics, the quantum mechanics, and the drama and everything else. And they've now, to me, kind of incorporated some spiritual aspects into the technology, which I think that's where the future is going, like with the spore drive and things like that, multidimensionality and all of that stuff. It's just an amazing series. I know you watch it, I watch it. It's one of those things where, like, I'm literally counting down. I'm not a TV guy, but I'm counting down when the next episode is coming on of this story, Incredible.
Yeah, I don't watch TV at all, actually. I only have my shows that I watch. Something that I've got more into in recent times, which is very similar to all of this, is certain types of Japanese anime, which at first I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't really go down the avenue. But once I actually started to watch some, sort of well-known movies or series that are quite popular that people recommended, I was like, holy moly, I don't know if it's just the culture alone, but their understanding of the supernatural world, of multiple dimensions, of like having an astral body, to high states of consciousness. I have never seen anything like that. Right. So that's another thing I can recommend to people. If there are certain types of Japanese anime and they really go into the occult stuff, it's very knowledgeable. I know it's not for everyone, but if you want something that is a little bit different, that is something you can go down to as well. But like you said, I love Star Trek, and if I don't say it properly, it's just my accent, so it's like doesn't go over the E as well, so it sounds like Star Trek. So I apologize in advance, but that's just harder for me to say it the way that you do. Look, I think a lot of these shows that are coming out touch on a lot of the things that you were talking about in regards to, the Pleiades star system, the Orions. Like even I think it was in the last few episodes, you can see in Star Trek that they're speaking with the Orions. Yeah. Like it's affiliated into it, like it's normal. I think it's a special series just because it's one of the only ones that I've watched where it really goes into the technology, and it seems the way that they've done it is so like, oh yeah, I mean, I've been researching that years ago, and this is what they taught. It's like all these other references, and so they really have done, I think, a lot of their homework when they've put this together. The only thing I would say, I had a person going, but why is it still even though they're very advanced or they're in a future timeline, why is it still so militant? And I was like, the show doesn't necessarily focus so much on higher states of consciousness yet. It's still sort of based on, like a third, fourth dimensional understanding of things, but starting to integrate from the human's perspective, at least anyway. There are obviously different beings and sentient life forms that do come on the show, which you can tell that they're much more evolved life forms than the humans are, or that the people that make up the Federation are. So I thought that was an interesting thing, because Star Wars, that goes into higher states of consciousness, like to the point where it's just, I don't think a lot of people realize that it's greatly spiritual, the whole concept of things. And The Mandalorian is another really good one, which I know that the second season comes out, I think, on the end of this 30th of October this month, which I'm excited about, because it focuses on like Baby Yoda and the spiritual aspect of using energy and manipulating energy. And you can see when he does that, how he falls straight asleep because of how much energy needs to be generated to do that. And he's still so small
Mm-hmm.
as well. And I feel like we can still relate to that because we have electromagnetic fields.
Yeah.
We are energy, and we're constantly bouncing back and forward with the collective consciousness
Right.
and being affected by that. So, or even just interacting with other people's energy fields. So there's so much that we can go into here. And this is not a nerd, like some people might go, oh, they're really nerding this conversation up about all of this sci-fi. It's not so much that. And to be honest, I don't know anyone who knows me that would put me into that category. It's really the appreciation of the science, and I think I posted on my story, like the futurism aspects of everything that they're integrating, because we are going in that direction. And Star Trek Picard, which is, I know, well, in Australia it's on Prime, that goes a lot into artificial intelligence as well, just like Discovery does, and how it's a huge threat and how it can take on so many different forms and involve consciousness itself.
Yeah, it really tries to expose some of the bad things that can happen with this AI technology when it becomes sentient, mixed with an avatar body, and it shows you that there are some potential dangers in it. So another thing that I like about the Star Trek series is how they found a way to balance the feminine energy with the series, because you have several women that are playing key roles. Hold on. In one particular instance, you have Michael Burnham, who's literally like the main star of the show, who literally, is trying to save an entire universe. I mean, a woman is trying to save the universe, and her leadership skills and her conscious skills and her technical skills and her IQ and everything else is just so high. And I like the way that they balance this with some feminine energy and not make it all male, 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 because we have to have a balance in things. And I think whoever the writers are showing the balance and showing the power of the Sophia energy, of the feminine, and how it could help alter future realities in the third dimension by bringing that extra essence that's been missing, because the balance is off right now in this universe, or at least in our section of the universe, which is this Milky Way galaxy down here in this little quadrant that we're in. We've gone straight to male dominant energy. We've suppressed the feminine, and I think that the balance is off. We need to bring the balance back, and the evidence of this balance being off are all the wars, all the hurt, all the pain, all the destruction, all the killings. It's already statistically proven that the majority of this has been done by men, and the majority of these orders to do this have been done by men. We've got to bring back some level of balance, and I think that Star Trek is showing how that balance can come into focus and how it can make a brighter future as they try to save life and save the universe and bring the world and bring the universe and the people of their home world into a better future.
Yeah, and I don't want men to feel threatened by anything that you just said as well. I know that we've talked about this before in other interviews. I do have some male friends, that when it has come to, Hollywood and all these films that have come out, they're going, oh, they're just exonerating the female to the point where, you know what I mean? It's in Marvel, they've always got this strong female character, and they hate it. Like I really had conversations with guys where they were like, this is just too much. Like, this is to the point where it's political. It's, they're going off on all these other tangents, and I don't think that they maybe necessarily understand that this is an energetic thing. We're not focusing on a war between male and females. Yes, this is a masculine dominated system. It's not that the masculine energy is bad and evil. I really don't want people to get confused with that. It's really just balance and understanding that we are in a duality as well, that there is certain polarization, which is pretty, it's pretty separated right now. So to be able for this duality to evolve forward, we would need to sort of understand how to balance and unite these energies, because they are really one energy. If you look at
Mm-hmm.
you know, the yin and yang symbol and that type of thing. It is a connected thing. So both are divine in that sense. But what happens in lower dimensions is that it falls victim to certain distortions. Yeah, so anything out of balance is not going to be good, but particularly in a lower dimension, because that is when manipulation can take place of these types of energies. So the masculine energy in a third dimension, in this particular reality that we have and with humans, will be exercised in a certain way, which can really take advantage of humans and their energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a bad way, to stop that duality, or try to not stop it but delay it, because you can't really stop the duality from evolving. It's just going to happen whether we like it or not. And things are cyclical anyway, so if it goes down, it never can stay down. It's cyclical. It will always go back up. And it's something my mother always said: if you're having a bad time, the wheel will always go back up. It just will. That is the nature of reality. So we can help it to go back up when they try and delay it and keep it down for the longest amount of time that they can. Yeah,
Exactly. That's what you hit it on the head. It's all about balance, and that's what we got to help bring back to this planet, the balance, because that will help move us towards that golden age. We can't go in off kilter. It's not going to happen until we get the balance back. You know, that's the main thing that we're missing right now in this civilization, especially. But we're going to get it. We're moving in that direction, and we're going to get it. You know, with all these current events still popping off all over the world, and you have SARS in Nigeria, which are this police force that are really abusing a lot of people, and you have still protests going on here in America. I know that another gentleman was just killed, I think today or yesterday. He was shot in the street, a mentally ill man. They chose not to restrain him or stun him. They chose to use deadly force instead, even though they were at a safe distance or could easily get to a safe distance. So all these things are getting people worried and agitated as to what's going on. They're really thinking that there's a lot of chaos going on this planet, but it's part of the growing pains. It's part of the process to get to the next level. You explain it really good. Can you touch on this?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that I really wanted to highlight. So thank you for bringing it up. We are connected to a collective consciousness, which sort of has been hijacked and is being controlled, not necessarily by us. We do control it, but we're not conscious of it, which is probably what I should say. So there's a lot of chaos going on energetically in the world. Seriously, probably since August. I know it's been chaotic through the whole COVID thing, but it changed a little bit in August, and it started to really intensify, and people started to really go even deeper, I think, and start questioning things. And that's when people started to really uprise, not just in America, but in certain other countries with everything that's going on. But you have to be aware of that bigger picture. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of anger and pain and the whole lashing out of things. There's a lot of angry protesting which is going on. And I know this is a sensitive topic, but if you're going to go out and protest, you need to be aware of your own energy field and what it's contributing to, not just towards your own energy field, but to the collective consciousness itself. If you're going out and fighting a message which is angry and really just a purging of your own inner pain, I understand that stuff has to come out, but be aware that it can still be manipulated if you're not conscious of how that energy is being projected. Now, if you get an entire protest of many different people and you put them all together and you put all of the energy fields together in one space, mm-hmm. and they're not conscious of their energy or where their pain and anger is coming from, whether it's generational, whether it's karmic or not, you put everyone together, that is a big bowl of chaos which will be manipulated.
That's right.
Maybe not in a dimension here that you can understand and comprehend, but on these other layers, that is a hot spot that they will absolutely feed on, so to speak. So that's why it's really important to understand that we are going through a purging process, and it's going to be bringing up some very deep, dark aspects of the human psyche. So a lot of people in the past few months might have a lot of highlight on their mental situation, like feeling like they're going crazy and losing it and potentially being suicidal. And even people who are not generally like that, do you know what I mean? You will have some dark psyche coming out, and it will really it's not there to bring you down. It's there because it needs to come out. It needs to be dealt with, and there are ways to transmute that energy, which is a whole other topic for another time, but there are ways to do it. And so I just want people who may have been going through a lot, may have been feeling very, very stressed out, having very high anxiety. Your energy is being affected by the collective right now. Yeah. It is lashing out. So take breaks from social media, from the news, seriously, because the theme right now, I would say energetically, is self-care. Nothing else matters right now for some people in the cycle that they're in. Your self-care is number one. And it might be painful when that stuff surfaces, but it does not have to remain there. And once you let go of it, it can really serve you. And I really hope that people reach that point where they don't give up and they try and understand that darkness. Because that, you know, again, the yin and yang, it's there to be understood, because it needs, you know, to be healed. And I know in our last interview that we did, we talked a lot about that aspect. So I just really wanted to highlight that today, because I know a lot of people are going through a lot, even people who are have quite a lot of spiritual knowledge. I'm talking other lifetimes coming up, all these different connections. They're purging, and you will not understand. Most people, they won't understand it, and so they'll think that they're going crazy, and be causing a lot of tension between certain relationships that you might have within your family. Confused, like, what am I doing with my life? You know, all of this is highlighting that, and I really feel for people, you know, with the political. You guys are in the last couple of weeks before the election, and so you'll have a lot of tension in America right now. So be easy on yourself. You are going through so much. Humans are going through so much on an energetic level. Be kind to yourself. If you don't have to respond to that text or that response on social media, don't. You might save your auric field being distorted and broken down a bit. You don't have to do it. We're not here to save everybody. Put yourself first right now and take care of your mental health, your emotional body, because we are at a stage of evolution where we need to understand so much more still about those layers and aspects of ourselves. Just take it easy. And the last thing I want to say about this is silence. Silence is very, very powerful. So there's a lot of people I know that are out protesting. I'm not saying that that's wrong and they're not meant to be doing that, but understanding the power of silence, and that there are other layers of yourself that are more energetic based. Understanding that silence means that your cup can be emptied, so it will have space for the new stuff that has to come in with the new frequencies that are coming and being integrated. And people don't have to believe that or not, but that's really what's happening right now. If you want to change the world, and you want to, you know, for those who are into consciousness and that type of thing, if you want to raise that frequency, now is the time to start paying attention. Right now. Because there will be opportunity, you know, for those cups to be emptied and for you to transmute that energy, so you can go on to that brand new chapter of your own soul evolution and for where the collective is at. That is what is going to help this planet and reality. It's doing stuff like that, knowing when to be silent, knowing that silence means that all of this other energetic work can actually take place, because yelling and screaming necessarily in a certain type of protest might be doing 5% compared to what your energy field, if you build that up, what that can actually do on a larger scale. So thank you for allowing me to talk so long so I could really explain that, so people can understand what's happening within themselves. This is a good thing. The purging is a good thing. It's not there for you to suffer. It's there for you to understand this dimension, what it's like to have these vibrations which you might have not experienced in your lifetime before that. You know, if you haven't incarnated in the third dimension for a while, we're here to understand it and to understand that about ourselves. So anytime you're going through that, take a step back and go, whoa, okay, so I'm being triggered because of, wow, how do I, okay, so now that I know I've identified this vibration, what is it? And you can explore that in your own time, through your own meditations, through, and when you're silent, you can hear those messages internally within, and you'll make space for the other aspects of you in the other dimensions to sort of integrate knowledge and frequency sort of upgrades, if you know, like with your cellular structure and stuff like that.
No, amazing. Great explanation. I don't think it was too long. I think people needed to hear that. You know, I've always been a proponent of different types of protesting. I understand people have to protest, and you know, when they feel like they have to protest, they have to get this pain and anger out. But there's ways to direct the power of that anger and that distrust and everything else, and that's going on. My biggest solution for what's happening is to start participating in all their systems. Now, you know, if we can get that many people to run through the street and protest, we should be able to get that same amount of millions of people to start participating in that system, the system of banking, the system of insurance payments and mortgage payments and car payments, and even working. I just think that if, imagine if 100 million people didn't go to work on Monday and then withdrew all their money out of the bank and said, look, until you guys get this straight, we're not going to participate. You know,
what if no one voted?
That's why, listen, what if no one voted?
Just saying.
Listen, that to me, that's a big one, because I don't vote for any particular candidate because I'm my own president. I vote for myself. I literally put my own name on every ballot every 4 years. I've been doing it for a long time. You know, listen, I'm going to nominate myself. Who's better to run my life than me? Because, you know, when I look at these people, when I look at the history of who's been a president since I've been alive, I saw Nixon, I saw, was it Ford? I saw Jimmy Carter, I saw Bush Sr., Reagan, Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump. I mean, I saw a lot of presidents. And guess what? The place that I grew up is still a ghetto. It hasn't gotten any better. Matter of fact, it got worse. It got worse. And the majority of the people that I grew up with are mostly either in prison or dead. And I'm not saying, oh, the president's the reason why these people are dead. But what I'm saying is, when you're a leader of the free world and you have the power at your fingertips to make things, to inspire people. See, presidents don't have as much power as people think they have, but they do have the power of their voice. Like, for example, Trump, right? He wants to do this and he wants to do that, but a lot of it doesn't happen because he doesn't really have the power to shut down Twitter. He doesn't really have the power to shut down TikTok or bring the martial law in, but he's got a powerful voice. Imagine if Trump, Obama, or any of these other presidents came on TV and said, I want everyone to go outside right now at the sound of my voice and clean up your street. I want your street clean. I want we're gonna clean these streets up. I want all the dirt, I want everything picked up. I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. I want to I can't make it mandatory in every single state because each state runs their own system. But what I'm wanting or encouraging is that all of the police forces around the entire country, and we support the police force, but I want them to go through better training. I want better system put in place. I want meditation. I want whatever it takes to reduce the amount of brutality cases, which is costing the taxpayers billions of dollars every year. I want that reduced. And it's not that he has the power to go into each state and do that, or into each city and do it, but he has the power to vocalize it and make it come out as a vocalization, as a frequency, and try to bring it into existence. And they know they have the power of their voice because of, for example, if the president goes on Twitter and says, I hate China, all the Chinese stocks crash. Or if he says, I like this new vaccine made by Moderna, all of a sudden Moderna stock goes up, so they know the power of their voice. You could
and that stuff happens all the time, mind you. Yeah.
All
With the stock market.
Listen, most of the time those tweets are for the stock market.
Yes, and especially like Elon Musk, things like that. Yeah. It's very obvious, but yeah.
It's on Twitter to make your stock go up. Come on. It's easy to see, but the people don't see it. And so they bet on their own stock to go up, and then they make money on the options call. I mean, it's just, I'm not mad at them. It's a great way to make money. When you have that kind of power of voice, whether it's on Twitter, social media, or vocalization, it's still casting spells on the people. Those words cast spells. And so I think that, the presidents aren't really involved or interested in really enlightening and waking up the population of this country. They're more focused on enriching themselves. And that's why nothing really is
the system. I mean, that's the system that they're working from. Yeah. So look, I really want to state some very important things in response to this, if you don't mind.
Yes, please do, please.
I know that I'm not American, but we obviously have, the two different parties that go against each other, the same old story that's been happening for such a long time. Humans are so programmed to the point where that's all they recognize. No, it's the left or right. It's the left or right.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's how it's always been. Like I said, I was like, if you didn't vote, if nobody voted, you would have a people's revolution. When nobody participated and went, no, we just hate your system altogether. Let's abolish that.
Yeah.
And let's create a newer system. It's things like this, or at least at this stage where we are at in this timeline, to start recognizing that, so I think that there's a left and a right because that's all I've been told. I've actually been forced to only vote for this left and this right. But up the top above these parties is still the same manipulation and power that sits at the top.
Yep.
That fund both parties, because both parties are slaves to that system. It doesn't matter who you vote in. They are still slaves to the old system, and the old system will never serve everybody because it's not designed to. The fact that you have to choose from left to right, do you think the left and right are going to serve everyone in what they're suggesting? No, the left is going to try and serve this and benefit these groups of people, and so the right is going to go, okay, well, we'll get these people then, and we'll focus on sustainable energy, and we'll try and get those votes in that are related to this. And then it's just structured like that. It's never going to work. It doesn't matter who wins, someone is going to suffer.
That's right.
There will still be huge groups of people that suffer. And to be honest, most people who vote, and anyone who actually has money and power and influence, or up to the level of corporations and that, they just want the person that serves their money interests and power interests. Even if they know that they're corrupt.
That's right.
They will still do it. That's how it works. And so I feel sad when I see in America, and I'm using America right now because you guys are in that stage of election, but this applies to every country pretty much. So I'm not being biased just towards America and being hard on you guys, but the left and the right, that mentality, it's got to go. I've never voted in my country in my life, and it's illegal not for me to vote here. I get a fine in the mail, which is $60-something if I do not vote.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I pay for that? No, I don't. Because if you read between the fine lines, when they send you that piece of paper in the mail saying, oh, you've been fined here, pay this to whatever, you can actually write a response and say why you didn't vote and why you believe that that's your legal right to exercise. I don't pay. They don't say anything because I don't actually have to vote for either one. It's just reading between the lines. And there's so many people that will attack me, I know, for saying don't vote, because they automatically go, but how can you change the system? But you're not voting. And it's just because I've removed myself from that leftist and rightist thing and going, this is how it is and this is the way it has to be. And yes, what you're saying about the president, of course, the president is disposable. And this is a really important point that I want to point out. Your president does not have the highest military clearance. That is how I know he is not the most powerful man or woman in your country.
Right.
He does not have the highest access. If he doesn't have the highest access, who does?
Exactly.
They're the questions you should be asking. They are disposable representatives, and the ones with the nicest smiles that say what you want to hear are the most useless ones of all, that are so PR trained and so compliant to that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will hate on Trump, and I'm neutral. I'm not for either or. I'm not saying that I love Trump. I'm not saying I hate Trump. I'm neutral in this. But the thing about Trump that I think people might misunderstand is that, okay, yeah, the way that he speaks and the things that he says, and I watched the presidential debate, and you know what I mean, there's ways that he could have said those things which would be 10 times more strategic and more effective. But he's a businessman. He's not a politician.
Right.
And for me, that was as clear as day and night when I watched the election. I was like, whoa, this is really a businessman talking to a politician.
Right.
And, that is Trump's background. So he doesn't necessarily talk in the way that's the PR really, that they're trained to speak as a politician. He just sort of just says it and tries to win the win like a businessman.
He tries to win. He tries to try to close you, And the thing about it is, the Electoral College in America picks the president, and the Electoral College answers to somebody higher than them. So, and we saw this when Bush won the election. Bush Jr. won the election. He literally didn't win the election, but they ended up giving it to him because of that same Electoral College. I'm doing a new video on the Electoral College now to show people how it works and to show them that their vote for the presidential candidate literally means diddly squat. This is why Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Trump still won the presidency, because the Electoral College picks the president based on who they're told to put in the slot. Again, this election, you'll see that Biden will win the popular vote, but Trump will be elected again because Trump will get the Electoral College vote. It is what it is. But the fact of the matter is, neither one of them, no matter who becomes president, everybody's going, we got to pick the best of the worst. Why can't we, with 300 million people in this country, why can't we pick the greatest of the best? We need a new system. I'm not participating in something that's the best of the worst. I'm not participating in that garbage. Are you kidding me? I got more important things to do with my life. I know from growing up what I saw with my own eyes and what I still see, that there is going to be no true change for the people that need, no humanitarian change. Financial change for the wealthy and the up and coming, yes. But for the humanitarian issues, zero. And so we need a new system. Eventually we will get one when enough people become awake and aware enough that marching through the streets and screaming is not going to solve the problem. It's going to bring awareness to the problem. Okay, you brought awareness. So what can we do to make it change? Stop participating in the system. That's the ultimate way to change the system, is to actually don't participate in it. And then once we start participating, it's game over, literally.
Yeah, I think it's very important for people to understand this. You know, in fact, I do think a lot of people, they do understand this, but I think they're in a situation where they're like, well, what do you want me to do? That I'm not a rich, powerful person. How can I influence? And I think it's important to not get caught up in thinking that you're powerless,
Mm.
because a lot of people will hate on people who have money, who have achieved certain power, you know what I mean, in this reality, and they'll go, oh, well, you're evil because you have lots of money, and you're just part of that divide and that polarization, the socioeconomic polarization that exists. And I think we have to be very careful about how we actually analyze that, because I don't think that that's necessarily the truth at all. I think that most wealthy people have just learnt how to make something work for them within, you know, whatever's been presented or what opportunity, you know, they have. I think there's still a lot for a lot of other people. I don't think you necessarily just have to have money to do that, although it would be much nicer for a lot more wealthier people to evolve consciously and spiritually, so then we could shift in the right direction with how to use you know, the money, that, because we're still in the monopoly system, and then how we can evolve out of that, because it's a trapped system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole monopoly system that we're in, it is a trap, but we still have to eat, we still have to survive. So I don't judge people who are wealthy necessarily. I just think that people who are not in that situation have to go, so where does my power lie then?
Right.
Because everyone has an avenue of power. Everybody does, even if it's just you focusing on your energy and building it so it influences the collective or the people around you differently. There is always an avenue of power that you can access. So the third dimension, I know it sucks sometimes and it's so limiting and can get boring and stuff like that, but there's still doors of specialty doors that I think that come in this dimension. And so I encourage people to start thinking a little bit more out the box and not thinking that they're worthless or hopeless because they're not some big powerful person who is super rich.
That's actually a very big problem that we have. People not really understanding their true power that's already inside of them. And, you know, when we tell people that the power is inside of them, a lot of the times they don't really believe us. You know, so I at my workshops, I talk about the fact that just look at the power inside of the human body that can be accessed and harnessed. This is done through Qigong and other techniques like Reiki. And so if you look at that stuff and you go, oh man, it's just some mystical, magical stuff. No, it's real science. Science investigated this and discovered that the average human body contains about 37.5 trillion cells. Now, that's interesting because each cell generates 0.07 volts of electricity. And at 37.5 trillion cells, that's about 2.63 trillion volts. You are walking around with 2.63 trillion volts of electricity in your body. The machine world in the Matrix, they knew this. This is why they had human beings plugged into power of the Matrix, because we got a lot of power inside of us. They found a way to use.
By the way, there's a Matrix 2 coming out.
Oh, I can't wait. That's gonna.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I think it's Matrix 4, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, 4. There's another one that's following.
Yeah, a new one. Yeah, no, it's great. I can't wait. So the machine world, they understood that, how to manipulate the energy of a human being to power their new world. Well, we have that power inside of us, and you can tap into it through consciousness, and you can access those electromagnetic fields that are ambient inside of your body already and project those energies out, because energies backed by conscious thought and vocalization literally alters the future of the third dimension. You can create your own ripples in space-time through your thought and energetic power. You can literally put energy behind your thought. Every thought that you make in your brain sends a light wave out of your skull, an electromagnetic wave of light that you can't see with your naked eye because the eyes only pick up 1% of the light spectrum. But those waves of light are being sent out with intention and power. And what you were talking about earlier, Irena, when you're out there screaming with anger and everything else, you're sending out low frequency electromagnetic waves. Those low frequency waves fall on deaf, conscious, universal ears. The universal consciousness doesn't really, the law of attraction doesn't work in a way where it brings back positivity. It works in a way where it actually brings back negativity. So you're feeding the cycle of negative energy with those thought waves. When you're sending out positive conscious waves into the universe, now you're operating with the law of attraction where you're pulling back positive energy, because the universe on the positive side, the law of attraction positive side, is power to power. A low frequency vibration, it misses, it can't sync with that. So what happens is it just sucks in more negativity. So when we figure this out and we understand the true power in our body and how to access that power and how to use it through, push it out of our skull through conscious thought, backed by vocalization, casting our own spells on space-time with positive affirmations, and speaking and commanding power over our future reality in our lives, in our family's life, then you'll see some significant change and you'll feel the power in your body. You'll understand that you are a powerful being, and you won't succumb to this systematic brainwashing that the Matrix has put on you, making you feel like you're inadequate.
Yeah, and it's so much more easier than people think. I think that they think it's so far away from what they're capable of, and it's really, really not. It can be accessed by anybody, but I think understanding that your energy and that there's different frequencies that influence you, or that influences that you choose to influence your and create your reality. I think that it's important for people to realize that, for example, you brought the protests up again. So if you're angry and another person in the protest is angry, maybe it's a leftist and rightist thing, right? And you're like, no, you're Republicans, no, Democrats. So one party represents distorted energy and lower frequency. So does the other person. So when you guys come at each other, it doesn't even cancel. One doesn't even cancel the other one out. You've just got distorted energy fighting distorted energy.
Yeah.
And 1 + 1 just equals 2.
That's it.
So you just create more distorted energy. You don't overpower the person ever with distorted energy. You cannot win with distorted energy. If you got, you've just got two people just butting heads.
Yep.
You will not win. You will not achieve anything at all. You are just creating more distorted energy. Then you're making more people around you angry, and then you're creating more people, do you know what I mean, with this lower frequency, and they're radiating even more distorted energy.
They're literally magnifying the negativity. Yes. It's like those sci-fi movies that you watch where when you shoot the monster, it takes the energy weapon and it makes it bigger and stronger. That's all they're doing. And it makes me so sad when I see people battling over this political stuff. You lefty, you righty, and then they want to go head to head. They want to hit each other and fight each other. And they even want to kill each other over a system that can give two craps about them or their family. And they literally will go to battle for this system and put out real injury against another person for nothing, and just create more negative.
Yeah, like you know when Trump got sick with COVID. And I mean, whatever your opinion is on whether it was real or not, just say, let's all just go, okay, it was real. He really did have that sickness. There were people who were lashing out against him. And I don't think it mattered who it was, whether it was Trump or not. They were lashing out, saying bad things. Do you know what I mean? Like laughing, hating. And it's like, come on, humans, revise where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Really? You might not like a person, but you want him dead? There were doctors saying that. Yeah. Like, don't you take a pledge as a doctor to serve the human or anyone ill to get better? Why would you wish that upon anybody, even your greatest enemy? Okay. And why do you think people love superheroes so much? Because they have this I know it can be seen as a vulnerability, but even when they have the opportunity to kill the enemy or the what's the word, villain,
Mm-hmm.
they don't,
Right.
or they struggle, or they try and get the villain to turn around. It's because that is the level of consciousness that they're sort of at, where they process information about their reality and everything around them.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for them. They don't wish death upon anybody, and that's why they're so up there and they're so amazing
Yeah.
as well. It's not just because they might have superpowers, but it's just their whole aura about them and their sense of justice and serving life itself. We don't want to try and destroy anyone in this process.
Right.
And if that is your approach, you know, then we need to revise maybe.
We have to evaluate ourselves. We got to realize that when you wish death on somebody else, that negative frequency that goes out could, law of attraction, it could bring that back on somebody in your own family or even you, because
It will.
Yeah,
It will. There's no debate. It will in some form or another that you might not even understand in this lifetime, but it will, because that energy just doesn't disappear.
No.
Once you put that out there, that energy is just there,
It's permanent.
and it will go towards a direction of something.
Right.
So that's connected to you.
That's why, a lot of people, they'll come on my account. How come you're not, blah, blah, how come you're not doing? Well, listen, I address these issues in a way that educates people on what's going on. But at the same time, you're never going to see me jump on there and go, I wish this guy was dead, kill this guy, cut his neck off, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we have to be conscious of the Hermetic principles and how the cause and effect and what we put out into the world, how it's going to come back. And so it's just part of the process. We still got to continue to teach the people. They've got to learn more, and they've got to learn how to control their anger and how to alchemically convert that into a positive frequency. And instead of lashing out in anger, look for solutions, and then use that same amount of energy on working with the solution to the problem, and then see how things change versus, like we said, just magnifying, distorted energies.
And for those who do understand this and have, come to a point in their own journey where they do realize this and notice this about other people just may not be ready for this information. So you'll be dealing that maybe within your own family members or your own relationships and friends. I get a lot of people who message me on Instagram and they're like, what can I do? I'm getting a lot of backlash when it comes to this. And I'm like, you got to focus on your own journey and just be the change that you wish to see in the world. That's really just it.
Yep.
Don't spend your time trying to convert people or trying to convince them of something, because some people just really can't process that info. They actually can't comprehend that. They can't comprehend even the vibration of the logic attached to that, of that higher level of consciousness processing information. They're not even there yet, and that's fine. That's okay. They're not ready for that yet, and it's okay. So I'm not trying to change anybody in that sense or convert anybody, but for those people who are ready for what we're talking about, we support you, and you're not alone in just doing you and just taking care of yourself. Don't underestimate how powerful that is. And at the end of the day, it's between you and source energy.
Yeah,
it really, really is. I know that we're all connected and we're all one, but you as an individual fractal here with having an ego, which can be practiced in this reality, it really does come down to you and source here within this, I think, dimension. So just do the best that you can do, and that's it. And if they don't get it, then that's fine. And then you take care of your own energy and just do the best you can do to influence their energy fields maybe down the track.
Just drop seeds. I mean, you need you more than you need them. And when you get on an airplane and they're giving you the instructions, they tell you that in case of loss of cabin pressure, the oxygen mask will drop. And they tell you, put the mask on first. You put it on first. And then once the oxygen is freely flowing, then you can save somebody else. But don't try to save somebody else until you get your own oxygen. So you need you more than you need them. Drop seeds gently and let the seeds grow. You be the light. You be the candlestick, the lighthouse, whatever. Let them see how you live it in your life. And eventually they'll come around with questions here and there. And slowly but surely, some of them will come around and some may not. But just know that you need to focus and worry about you and be the light. And people will see it. I guarantee it. We're running out of time.
Don't waste energy on revenge.
Yeah, don't worry about revenge. Oh, no, don't never worry about revenge. Revenge is the worst. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's the word. I tell you what, another thing about getting angry before we close out, I saw this quote one time, and man, it rings so true because I actually experienced it. A moment of anger will lead to 40 days of sorrow. Man, listen, that is so true. And so now I spend my entire life focusing on not getting myself to the point of anger. And it's been a while. It's a process, but I've done fairly well not having to feel that complete aggression of anger. Frustration, yes, but anger, I try to evade that. And I try to transmute the energy. I don't try to hide it. I try to transmute it into something positive, into solutions. And I think everyone should try to focus on doing that. So anyway, our time is coming to an end today. IRENA, it's been a great talk. We covered a lot of topics. I think you're going to love this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Again, just don't be too hard on yourself, people. I want to leave out on that. Just be easy on yourself. And, if you don't have to waste your energy on something, just don't, because, you're going through your own transformation right now. And it's really, really important. It doesn't matter who you are, how big or small or whatever you think you are. It's important for you, and it all counts at the end. And you know that I love coming on here and talking to you, and I know the frustration is so real sometimes, that we all experience here in this dimension. But I think the more that you take a step back and understand everything, like you said, the more that you understand the vibration of anger, sometimes it needs to come out. Sometimes you do need a venting process. I think that's healthy because it helps you to experience, and honor that, honor that experience that you're having, so it can be understood and transmitted, like you said. But understanding it is the goal for now, I think, and you will become aware of the vibration and how your energy actually shifts when you go through different emotions, and when you hit that certain stage of that certain that anger, that real wrath or anger. I think as you go along and you become more familiar, you're less inclined to actually ignite it. So you become aware of that, and you don't like it. It's not a good feeling. It becomes almost foreign, a foreign feeling where it's an uncontrolled feeling, and you don't want to go down that route. You really do want to try and understand it. But, I know everyone's at a different stage in their journey, and, just take it easy the next 2 weeks, guys, especially if you're in America.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can they find you online?
I do have a YouTube page and Instagram as well. IRENA Diva, IRENA DIVA. I love it when people follow my work, and I try to interact the best way that I can on those platforms. But I love this, and my love for it is very genuine, and I love working with you as well, and I just can't wait for the amazing projects. I think after this COVID thing sort of dies down and we can go back out, I just think that we're going to enter a whole new energetic chapter where we can progress with certain things. And I just can't wait. There's still so much to look forward to, people. Don't give up. It's not the end. There's still so much more ahead. If you're having a bad day, just remember that that wheel is going to go back up, and when it does, it's going to be amazing.
Yep, absolutely. Another great episode, guys. Billy Carson, IRENA BYRIEL. This is going to be a great episode, and please don't forget to share this with your friends and your family. All right, signing off, guys. The location of the Grand Gallery leading up to the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid is the latitude of the same exact digits of the speed of light in meters per second. Just like the Force can be used for good, the Force can also be used for bad. And until we take back control of this planet, things like the technologies you saw will always be turned into a military type of a project. Now I believe that oil is the blood of the earth, just like a lot of these raw minerals are inside the earth and being created by earth. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Oh, don't forget, there's another planet right there you didn't know about called Ceres, C-E-R-E-S, in our solar system. It has more fresh water on it than Earth. Join me, Billy Carson, on the all-new ForbiddenKnowledgeTV. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV. Don't forget all iOS devices as well as Android. ForbiddenKnowledgeTV.
Dropping big facts, forbidden knowledge. Putting conscious on the map, forbidden knowledge. Always on the scene, forbidden knowledge. Took the pictures, those ain't memes, forbidden knowledge.
What you wanna learn?